French Revolution was guided by political principle of democracy. French Revolution gave Bastille. Bastille was a prison where prisoners were released. People stormed prison because most of the prisoners were victimized, because they expressed against king, they expressed against old order, they expressed against feudal system. So they were being targeted, they were being victimized. This was opposed by French Revolution. So French Revolution gave the slogan liberty. What was the slogan of French Revolution? Liberty, equality, and fraternity. Liberty, equality, and fraternity. French Revolution changed the notion of nation. Notion of nation. Nation was earlier identified by the honor of the prince. Now it will be identified by people, not honor of prince. French Revolution was based on Rousseau's concept of popular sovereignty. Who is sovereign? People are sovereign in collectivity. The state is merely an agent of sovereign people. State is merely an agent of sovereign people. So popular sovereignty, general will. State cannot represent the will of the people. Will is non-transferable, non-representable. Will, general will or real will is inherent in the community. Community can never be selfish. Individual's will is called actual will. Selfish plus altruistic will. This is general will. General will means will of people, which is infallible. General will is purely altruistic. Infallible, based on welfare of all, is the will of community, different from individual will, which is actual will. Rousseau, you have studied social contract thinker, mechanistic theory of state. For him, state is merely a machine. Individual is the end. And talked about popular sovereignty, general will. Private property is the evil of all evils. Man was born free, but everywhere he finds himself in chains. Rousseau's thought greatly inspired French Revolution. As I said earlier, every revolutionary action is preceded by revolutionary thought. Is it clear? Then, what are the other achievements of French Revolution? Republicanism. Republicanism is the feature of French constitution which cannot be amended. Republicanism means head of the state to be elected one, not hereditary. French Revolution was guided by thoughts of Voltaire. Voltaire favored what? Freedom of speech and expression, which is vital in democracy. Freedom of speech and expression. Voltaire says, I disapprove what you say, but I can die for your right to say. For your right to say. I disapprove what you say, but I can die for your right to say. French Revolution was also guided by the thought of Montesquieu. Montesquieu favor what? Montesquieu favored separation of powers concept. Separation of powers. Earlier, executive, legislative and judicial powers were concentrated in the hands of king. Now separation of powers will lead to checks and balance, will prevent misuse of power by power holders. So, in French Revolution, we see there is element of democracy, right? Although Hannah Arendt said American Revolution was more important than French Revolution because the products of French Revolution killed the spirit of revolution, while those products of American Revolution carried forward the spirit of American Revolution. It's true. Regarding French Revolution, question has been asked that Napoleon was the byproduct of French Revolution, but he killed the revolution. नेपोलियन क्रांति पुत्र होते हुए भी उसने क्रांति का गला घोंट दिया. क्रांति पुत्र का मतलब क्रांति से जन्म कौन लिया? तुरंत नहीं, लेकिन द रिवोल्यूशन एंडेड द रोल ऑफ हेरिडिटरी किंग, बट it was middle class led revolution, not lower class led revolution. So rulers and king's role ended, but role of military increased. And Napoleon, who was the byproduct of French Revolution, in 1793 he declared himself dictator of French Republic. Is it surprising? French Republic means head of the state must be elected one. So, dictator of French Republic. Dictator of French Republic. And Napoleon promoted aggressive nationalism, militarization, policy of war and expansion. He favored aggressive nationalism, aggressive French nationalism. Aggressive French nationalism. He favored continental policy. Continental policy, you know, means France will dominate European continent and all other countries must accept the supremacy of France. And Napoleon would win Napoleonic wars. He thrown France into wars. 1793 to 1814 till his Waterloo. Although in 1814 he was arrested and he basically died in 1821, but he became a spent force after 1814 when all European countries joined hands to defeat Napoleon, because Napoleon was trying to disturb the balance of power system. 6 to 7 European countries had balance of power, right? Napoleon tried to disturb the balance of power. No balance, no equilibrium. France first, continental system. France will lead European hierarchical system. All other countries, particularly England, must accept the supremacy of France. Napoleon favored nepotism. Is it democratic principle? He placed his relatives, his cousins, as in charge after conquering a territory. He waged wars, caused hardships to the people, militarization, aggressive nationalism, rejected peace. Are they democratic ideals? Ultimately, French people had to pay price for his aggressive and over ambitious programs. So, continental policy, placing his relatives as in charge of the conquered territory. So, Napoleon favored nepotism and favoritism. These are not democratic values. War, aggressive nationalism. So Napoleon took undue advantage of the French Revolution. He did not carry forward democratic tradition of French Revolution. He followed the policy of imperialism, trying to conquer other Western countries, creating a fear psychosis among other countries. So all other European countries join hands, be it England, be it Austria-Hungary, be it Prussia, be it Holland, all they join hands to defeat Napoleon. So Napoleon's Waterloo. Waterloo is the name of the place. It's a dictionary. Waterloo means complete destruction. Khatma. Napoleon met his Waterloo. Waterloo is the name of the place. But now it is in dictionary. Waterloo means complete destruction, annihilation of a person. So Napoleon's Waterloo. Comprehensive defeat. Napoleon was comprehensively defeated. Let me tell you, all the revolutions taking place in Western countries were led by middle class, not by lower class. Soviet Socialist Revolution led by Lenin in 1917 would be the first successful socialist revolution led by lower class. All other revolutions led by middle class. So Napoleon was defeated and Vienna Congress, Vienna Congress called by Metternich. Metternich was the ruler of Austria-Hungary to restore balance of power system. To restore balance of power system because Austria-Hungary then Austria-Hungary, then UK, then Prussia, then Holland, all they joined hands against Napoleon. So all these powers will join hands to ensure defeat of Napoleon. So Vienna Conference favored what? It took two decisions. First, to restore balance of power system. Balance of power system and taking all corrective measures to prevent Napoleonic kind of imperialism in future, and taking steps to prevent Napoleonic kind of imperialism in future. First decision of Vienna Congress. Second decision of Vienna Congress was, what was the second decision of Vienna Congress? To fight against forces of democracy. Means monarchies of all countries to join hands to fight against democratic forces. Monarchies of these countries would join hands to fight against democracy. But once people tasted the elements of democracy, they are not ready to settle with anything less than that. Means they wanted to establish democracy. Forces of monarchies were fighting to crush democratic forces. So this will lead to bloodshed, churning in European countries in the whole 19th century. There will be tussle between monarchy and democracy, and bloodshed, forces of monarchy versus forces of democracy, there will be tussle. So whole 19th century Europe, after Napoleonic Wars, 19th century Western Europe, 19th century Western Europe, what we see? Churning and bloodshed. Why bloodshed? Because monarchy versus democracy. And there were 2 years who are very much representative years of this century, 1825 and 1848. 1830 and 1848. Every country of Western Europe faced bloodshed due to tussle between monarchy on one hand and democracy, because people wanted democracy now, but monarchs did not want democracy. So these are the 2 years, 1830, 1848, bloodshed in every Western European country. But let me tell you, the spread of democracy was not symmetrical, it was asymmetrical. The countries which took lead in liberalism, capitalism, modernization, prosperity, democracy will come there first. England, France, Holland, Spain, Portugal. It's still Italy and Germany and Austria, Hungary, they were backward. So this is 19th century journey. And the people's power and people's movement for democracy got further strength due to industrial revolution and industrial society. In industrial society, workers are more organized, more cohesive. In agrarian society, poor are scattered, less organized. मजदूर एकता जिंदाबाद या किसान एकता जिंदाबाद? ज्यादा सुनने में क्या आता है? वाई मजदूर एकता जिंदाबाद, क्योंकि मजदूर एक इंडस्ट्रियल क्लस्टर में रहते हैं, एक जगह रहते हैं, कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड रहते हैं, इकट्ठा हो सकते हैं, किसान कोई कहां कोई कहां कोई कहां. इंडस्ट्रियल सोसाइटी, workers are more organized and ideology is more effective in class divided industrial society created by industrial revolution. So evils of capitalism also surfaced in 19th century, that also strengthened working class movement, movement for democracy, is it or not? So 19th century, what we see, industrial capitalism was at its peak. Industrial capitalism in Western Europe at its peak. Huge rich-poor gap, have-nots gap, that also led to socialist Marxist challenge to the existing capitalist liberal system, socialist Marxist challenge. th 19th century, industrial society, class divided society, in class divided society, ideology plays greater role to mobilize support on class lines. Ideology was used for mobilizing support on class lines. In other words, ultimately people's aspiration for democracy will gradually be able to surpass forces of monarchy, at least in England, France, Holland, Spain, Portugal, or developed countries. Not in Austria, not in Italy, Germany. They were politically fragmented, they were backward, they were not prosperous. And thanks to the Chartist movement of workers in England, have you heard, in 19th century also witnessed Chartist movement. What is Chartist movement? Chartist movement was a political movement of workers in England. They presented charter of demands and gherawed British Parliament thrice, and most of their demands were fulfilled. Chartist movement was not a trade union movement, it was a political movement of workers. Movement of workers in England, and they gherawed British Parliament thrice. They gherawed British Parliament thrice. What were the demands? First, universal adult franchise. Is it the bedrock principle of democracy or not? One person, one vote, one value, no property qualification, no educational qualification for voting rights, for political rights. This is the bedrock principle of democracy. Political equality of all humankind. All human beings are rational, so they must have equal political rights. Then, open ballot, a secret ballot. Secret ballot is pro working class, open ballot is pro capitalist, pro employer. Then third, more powerful lower house, house of people. Then there are other demands, handsome salary to MPs, because MP's salary is given from taxpayers' money and capitalists are taxpayers. and workers are numerically superior. Annual elections, although this demand could not be fulfilled. This demand could not be fulfilled, but reorganization of territorial constituencies based on population. Of territorial constituencies based on population. So most of the demands were accepted by British Parliament. This is how democratic principles got established in Britain. Yeah, most of the demands except this 5-yearly election hota hai. So most of the demands were accepted. This was seen as victory of workers. You see, later in Britain there were two parties, Tory and this Labour Party came out from Liberal Party. One was Liberal Party, another was a Conservative Party. From Liberal Party, after this movement, Labour Party emerged, right? And it ultimately won. So, what we see, democracy, what we see today, modern liberal democracy, is hard earned. These have been achieved after a long battle, after so much bloodshed, after so much struggle. Whatever democracy that we see today. So, but the development of democracy was not symmetrical. It's not uniform everywhere. This is in 19th century. So we have seen the developments of modernization, then nation state, monarchy, then democracy, political development is going on, secular polity, separation of powers, written constitution, rule of law, freedom of speech and expression, tolerance to criticism. Tolerance is the most important value of liberalism. So, what we see in 19th century? Marriage of liberalism and democracy. Liberalism, capitalism is a modern political ideology. Democracy is, as a form of government, is an old concept, and they came together in 19th century, so much so that democracy means liberal democracy, unless specified otherwise. So 19th century also witnessed what? Liberalism and democracy coming together to make it liberal democracy. To make it liberal democracy. See, liberalism is a modern political ideology. Liberalism, capitalism. While democracy is a old concept of regarding form of government. Democracy, old concept regarding form of government. Liberalism, modern concept. And they came together so much so that it is called liberal democracy. Is it clear? These are the churning process in 19th century. Moreover, in wake of socialist, Marxist challenge and periodic doom in capitalism. Capitalism see cycle of boom and doom, you know. In capitalism, boom, bear and bull, you know, share market. So periodically boom and doom. This is the feature of capitalism. उठा पटक तो कैपिटलिज्म में ज्यादा होगी due to theory of capital accumulation. So in wake of periodic boom and doom, in wake of doom, capitalism will go for its course correction or not? What will be the course correction? Welfareism. In 19th century, liberalism, capitalism will face the challenge. Marxism, socialism will say this capitalism is evil, this causes his rich poor gap, this causes exploitation, workers of the world join hands, fight against capitalism, go for revolution, this capitalism is evil. So what will be the course correction in liberalism, capitalism? Capitalism will become sober by putting a cream of welfareism and democracy. Sober. Where is the evil? In order to rescue itself, in order to sustain itself, in wake of challenge posed by socialism, Marxism. ये लैंग्वेज समझ में आया नहीं आया? कैपिटलिज्म को क्या कह रहा है मार्क्स कि खराब है, एक्सप्लॉयटेशन पे बेस्ड है, दुनिया के मजदूरों एक हो जाओ, इसमें शोषण है. और जब भी डूम आएगा और क्वेश्चन उठेगा कैपिटलिज्म पे. और डूम क्यों आता है? परचेजिंग पावर ऑफ द पीपल कम्स डाउन, कैपिटल एक्यूमुलेट्स इन फ्यू हैंड्स, देन स्लो डाउन, रिसेशन, डिप्रेशन. 1929 great economic depression in capitalism, you know. So what was the course correction? Thanks, classical capitalist, classical economist never anticipated any kind of crisis or doom in capitalism. But in 1929, great economic depression was the reality in capitalist world. Thanks to the theory of Keynes, welfare theory of great economist J. Keynes. Have you heard the name? एडम स्मिथ ने कहा था कैपिटलिज्म में तो कभी क्राइसिस आ ही नहीं सकता, इससे अच्छा सिस्टम कुछ होता ही नहीं है, ये तो बेस्ट है, ये तो प्रॉस्पेरिटी ही लाएगा, इसमें कभी क्राइसिस आ ही नहीं सकता. दे नेवर एंटिसिपेटेड. सो क्लासिकल फेज ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म 1400 to 1850, that is classical capitalism or negative liberalism. Classical liberalism, also called negative liberalism, that I wrote on the very onset. But in 19th century, capitalism faced challenge from Marxism, socialism. Capitalism faced doom. Capitalism faced crisis. Capitalism faced economic depression. So urgent course correction was required. So in second phase, it is positive liberalism. Or welfare state. Why welfare state? 1850 to 1950. Great economic depression. in 1929 in capitalist countries. Highlighted, increased the relevance of theory of J. Keynes. Have you heard the name? J. Keynes. how to rescue capitalist countries from this crisis. America put thousands of tons of wheat into the sea. You know this or not? America threw thousands of tons of wheat into the sea. Everybody was buyer, everybody was seller, nobody was buyer. So what Keynes said, who will come to rescue the economy? Yes. In wake of crisis in the capitalist system, who will take corrective measures? Who will take interventionist measures? Yes, right. State will take interventionist measures because corporates, capitalists, private sector, they themselves are in crisis. And why they are in crisis? There is no demand for industrial products. Why there is no demand for industrial products? Capital accumulating in few hands. No purchasing power of the numerically superior consumers and workers. Banks were bleeding, NPAs were going high. From private sector, investments and expenditures were not coming forth. So who will do that? It was a political decision of the state earlier to keep its role low. Now it's a political decision of a state to increase its role. Welfare state means interventionist role, enabling role, comprehensive role. So welfare, here Keynes what favored? Yes, dig the well, fill the well. सुना है आपने? केन्स क्या कहते हैं? वेल, कुआं खोदने के लिए भी सरकार मजदूरी दे और उस कुआं को भरने के लिए भी मजदूरी दे. क्यों? To raise the purchasing power of the numerically superior workers and consumers, to stimulate the demand of industrial products, to rescue capitalism from crisis, to revive demand, to revive and restore economy, and to face the challenge of socialism successfully, to prove socialism wrong, to take corrective measures, to bounce back. So capitalism bounced back based on theories of Keynes. What he said? Dig the well and fill the well. What does it mean? It means what? Keynes favored government expenditure on public works. On public works to raise purchasing power of workers and consumers, commoners. To stimulate demand of industrial products. To stimulate demand of industrial products. Keynes favored what? Deficit financing. Deficit financing means government must go for printing of extra currency notes. No problem. Revival is important. Even if there is short-term inflation, don't care. Revival of the economy is important. Once economy is restored, then only you can go ahead. Otherwise, if you collapse, what is the fun of maintaining inflation? Deficit financing is ever. Means more printing of currency of extra notes. Welfareism he promoted. Keynes favored what? Rescue, relief and rehabilitation. Rescue, relief and rehabilitation. Bailout to packages to banks. Banks, even Lehman Brothers could survive, because whenever there is depression, then banks start bleeding. because most of the people borrow from bank, they are not able to repay the principal amount, what to talk of interest. And banks are suppliers of the money in the economy. Banks do financial functions. They survive on based on earning interest. Even if the principal amount is stashed, how they will survive? Banking business is the riskiest business. In other businesses, you have operational risk, you have market risk, you have financial risk in banking business. So, recapitalization of banks. Who will recapitalize? State, of course. Keynes said, why there is unemployment? If savings is equal to investment, demand is equal to supply, then in that case full employment cycle. There will be full employment cycle. Full employment cycle, demand is equal to supply, and if in savings channelizes into investment, then full employment cycle. Nobody will remain unemployed. And who religiously followed Keynes' theory? The great American president FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who religiously followed Keynes. FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, who had distinction to become American president 4 times. 4 times. Because till 1951, there was no restriction on tenure of president. In 51, after amendment, restriction of tenure to 2 tenures only. So Roosevelt was president 32, 36, 40, 44. Although last time 44 he became president, he died in 1945. That is different thing. But Roosevelt, New Deal 1. New Deal 1, 32. And New Deal 2. 1936. Here, no confiscation. No confiscation. Relief. Progressive taxation. Social security. You recall and contrast Keynes with Adam Smith. Adam Smith favored economic insecurity to workers. Then only they will be working, otherwise they will become parasitic. But no social security, insurance, fair wages to workers, progressive taxation, bailout packages, relief to banks, here labor reforms also, Tennessee Valley Authority, addressing regional imbalance, Whenever America has always converted crisis into an opportunity. 7 states of America were backward. So Tennessee Valley Authority, multi-purpose river valley authority was started. And those 7 backward states became the engines of growth and revival. This is converting crisis into an opportunity or not? father of positive liberalism. Positive liberalism is J.S. Mill, who favored positive role of a state, enabling role of a state, interventionist role of a state. That is favored by Keynes. So Keynes, based on Keynes theory, Western economies could revive, could bounce back, could come away from economic depression, because socialist economy was doing well. 5-year planning in socialist economy was doing well. Jawaharlal Nehru himself visited Soviet Union in 1928 and was quite impressed with the 5-year plan of Soviet Union, who was not ill affected by economic depression. So welfare theory, welfare state, welfarism is for sake of sustaining capitalism. Welfarism is a course correction. Welfarism is adaptation. And what is the most important value of liberalism, capitalism? Tolerance and adaptation. Tolerance and adaptation. Flexibility are the important values of liberalism, capitalism. But again, once they bounced back, the third phase of liberalism, capitalism is, yes, third phase, neoliberal or libertarian. 1950 onwards. What it says? Opposed welfarism. Opposed welfarism and minimum needs approach. Highly individual centric society. Individual centric society. Opposed parasitism. It's not laissez-faire. It's not only individual liberty in relation to state only. Individual liberty in relation to all collectivistic groups, be it family, school, be it family, community, society, state, nation. They have no value unless being valued by individual. So neoliberalism believes in what? No collectivistic group. Collectivistic group is having any value unless being valued by state, unless being valued by individual. Collectivistic groups means family, community, class, state, nation, etc. They have no value. Highly individual centric society. In laissez-faire, only individual liberty in relation to state. Here, individual liberty in relation to all. Neoliberalism is based on Washington consensus, you know. Open door policy, LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, tax relief to the rich. Neoliberalism focuses to do away with the current account expenditure, focusing on capital account expenditure, generating assets. No welfareism, no parasitism, no protection of efficiency, and addressing misallocation of resources. Addressing misallocation of resources. So partly we follow neoliberal policies also from 91 onwards, Rao Manmohan model in India. Yes. Washington Consensus means there was consensus among countries that the open market economy, privatization is the only way to promote efficiency across the world. No inefficiency should be promoted and subsidized at the cost of a potential efficient sector. This is Washington Consensus. Rao Manmohan model, our economic reforms since 1991 is based on Washington Consensus because of relative failure of Soviet brand of socialism, Soviet brand of economy. Structural Adjustment Program. India also, LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. Structural Adjustment Program means changing the structure of the economy from public sector to private sector. I tell you, Washington is the place in, or is the Washington DC is the capital of America. Washington Consensus means consensus on economic reforms. On economic reforms based on the principle of neoliberalism, opposing welfare state, open door policy, free market economy, free market economy. This is neoliberalism. As you know, 1991 Soviet brand of socialism collapsed like pack of cards. Cold War ended, new world order, and capitalist market economy, liberal democracy triumphed. So there is a consensus that liberal democracy, from political liberalism to business liberalism now. The agenda of political liberalism was completed with political modernization, rule of law, constitutionalism, democracy, civil liberties, tolerance to criticism, free press, free and fair periodic elections, right? So neoliberalism focus more on business liberalism. Political liberalism attained by principles of liberal democracy. Is it clear? So these are the phases of liberalism, capitalism. These are the phases of liberalism, capitalism. I repeat, 1400 to 1850, classical capitalism. 1850 to 1950, welfareism was dominant. 1950 onwards, neoliberal policies were dominant, where state roles has to be again reduced. But after 9/11, and economic depression, again state's role has to be increased. So periodically state's role has to be increased or decreased as per the situation. Is it clear? So first political ideology we have done. What is the root word of liberalism, capitalism? What are the phases of liberalism, capitalism? What are the assumptions of liberalism and capitalism? What are the thinkers in liberalism and capitalism? How it started with individualism, then utilitarianism, then libertarianism. One part of liberalism is also communitarianism, communitarian. So liberalism has various, is a larger set having one individualism, one utilitarianism, one libertarian or neoliberal, one communitarian. Communitarian believes in situated self, not isolated self. Conditioned individual. Conditioned individual is conditioned by the social context. Conditioned individual rather than isolated individual. And George H. Bush in 1991, American president, claimed that liberal democracy's victory is final. This is the highest stage of human development, new world order. Neoliberal policies are continuing. Socialist command and control economy has failed. Soviet economy has collapsed. They have collapsed like pack of cards. So, you know the root word, the phases, the kinds, their presumptions, their thinkers, their challenges, their corrective measures, their basic assumptions. Liberalism, capitalism is clear. The first political ideology, still continuing till this date. Liberalism, capitalism. How liberalism, capitalism accommodated democracy and welfareism in 19th century, and why they accommodated? Why they accommodated? Liberalism, capitalism initially was considered to be pro-propertied class, pro-rich. But with the passage of time, either they had to concede in political civil sphere or they had to concede in material sphere. So they conceded in political sphere by accepting democracy. कैपिटलिस्ट कहेंगे कहाँ गैर बराबरी है, मार्क्स एकदम झूठे हैं, आपका भी वोट एक हमारा भी वोट एक, कहाँ ऊंच नीचे, स्टेट वेलफेयर तो कर रही है, कहाँ इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ एक्सप्लॉयटेशन है, मजदूरों का लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड भी तो बढ़ रहा है, और ट्रिकल डाउन, जब तक ग्रोथ नहीं होगा तो क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, क्या इक्वलिटी, इक्वलिटी करते करते ढह गए 91 में सोवियत इकोनॉमी, क्या बराबरी, क्या वेलफेयरिज्म, मतलब वेलफेयरिज्म दे अडॉप्टेड बट लेटर न्यूलिबरल्स अपोज्ड वेलफेयरिज्म. Is it clear? This is the first political ideology, group of ideas, science of ideas, organized ideas, directional ideas, meant for mass mobilization. The flag bearers of liberalism, capitalism were middle class, bourgeois, 14th century traders. Later, capitalist, business class, right? So the same bourgeois continued as flag bearer. American Revolution and French Revolution both led by middle class. Glorious Revolution led by middle class. Even Industrial Revolution started by middle class. Although with the passage of time, the same business class, middle class became dominant industrial class. That is different thing because of mode of industrial capitalism. Now we come back to the point from where we started. वहीं से फिर चल रहे हैं जहां से हम लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया था। आई रिमाइंड यू दैट वी डिस्कस्ड 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th and 21st century. This is our agenda. If we make graph, the time and development, political development as well as economic development, then here 14th century, 15th century, 16th and 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, 21st century. So 14th century and 15th century witnessed what? Nation state, Renaissance and Reformation, th and 17th century witnessed what? Scientific inventions, here nation state, here East India Company, overseas trade, th century, age of enlightenment, 19th century, very churning, democracy, welfareism, socialist Marxism, Chartist movement, German unification, Italian unification, first Napoleonic wars, Vienna Congress, forces of democracy, monarchy, welfareism, all churning. Then 20th century witnessed what? Aggressive nationalism, First World War. After First World War, interwar period, fascism, Nazism. Then Second World War. Then League of Nations replaced by United Nations. And after 1945, Cold War, decolonization. And in 21st century, what we see? New World Order, 9/11 terrorist attack, again economic depression, new protectionism by Trump and Brexit, global commons like climate change, global terrorism, NPT, CTBT, Korean Peninsula, threat of proliferation of nuclear weapons, globalization of diseases, cyber security, new concept of security, hyper globalization. Hyper globalization when we see in 20s, hyper globalization. In 20th century, what we see? Hyper globalization. In 18th, 17th, 18th century, we saw industrial revolution, industrial society. In 21st century, post-industrial society, industrial society, modern society, while post-industrial society, post-modern society. The state of hyper reality, पर industrial society was based on specialization of work.